Okay, so both toxicity and my experience with adrenal fatigue. This happened to me right before I chose to resign from my teaching position. It was the thing that did it for me. I was also reacting bad with mast cell activation, so those two things were working together and were making the issue totally worse. Didn't realize it at the time, had no idea what was really going on. I blamed everything on my thyroid. So it was the end of the semester, right before Christmas break, and I just got to the point where I was already noticing I was reacting to things. I thought that I was reacting to my thyroid, and I just thought I just had increased my thyroid medication because my TSH and all of my thyroid levels were just off. And the doctors, what they do, if that's off, they'll just increase your medication even more, which was not good because my adrenals were having such a hard time, and it was just putting more stress on my adrenals. I did not have a clue about all of that either, but yeah, it's very important to take care of your adrenal glands if you're on thyroid medication, and I did not do that, and that was a cause of a lot of issues with me. And then, we've got all of these gastrointestinal issues too, and then you get these deficiencies, and you can't absorb things. So I was having a really hard time with that as well. But I was reacting to my thyroid medication. I was reacting to pretty much everything, and stress, couldn't handle stress at all. I told my kids, like, that last day when I realized I was reacting to stuff, I was like, y'all, I don't mess with me. I'm not, things are not good right now. And of course, I thought I was being preventive or whatever, but when you say that to a group of kids, at least for some of them, they're going to do everything that they can to provoke or to push your buttons or whatever. And that's exactly what happened. And then I was irritable. I could not manage. I could not, you have to be able to manage those kinds of situations with kids without getting emotional, because the power struggle never works, right? And I knew that this was not good, that I was not going to be able to do that. So I did have enough awareness to call an administrator. I just said, look, I don't know what's going on. I am not well. I've got a situation in my room. He came down. He took the kid that I was having trouble with out of the room. But after that, because I'd gotten myself in such a bad way trying to deal with that, I was like, I can't stay. I can't be here. And so I left. And I think that was the last day. I think that was the last day that I went. I think that was pretty much one of the last days that the kids were there anyway, before we let out for Christmas. And it took me a few days to even remotely get over that whole situation. I was just an emotional wreck. I was so tired. My fatigue level was just really bad. I started having really a hard time with my blood sugar levels by that time, and it was just debilitating. And so after a few days, I guess that I started to get better. Then I decided to go to my mom's house. She was having a Christmas breakfast, and I was backing out of the driveway to come, and I already was driving already causes me anxiety on a good day, and I was already nervous about that, and I was backing out. I was going slow, and my boyfriend came out. I was looking the opposite way from him, and he came out and knocked on the window, and I slammed on brakes. I wasn't going very fast, you knocked on the window. I slammed on brakes, and then just this total reaction just took me over. This total panic attack right there. And I'm like, man, you cannot You cannot do that to a person who is experiencing stuff like this right now. And I couldn't breathe. I got emotional. I started crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on with me? I can't even handle somebody knocking on my window. How am I supposed to function? And just totally sent me into an all-out panic attack. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to my mom's. So I pulled back up the car underneath the garage, got out, went straight to the bed. And then I rationalized, I can't handle stress any better than this. If I get out of the bed, if I do anything, it could cause me to lose my, not be able to handle it. So my choice was, and plus I was really tired, and I was really in a bad way anyway, physically and psychologically. I was like, to protect myself and protect my body from reacting any further to anything that can cause me stress, the safest place for me to be right now is in my bed. And I pretty much stayed there for a couple of, at least 2 or 3 weeks. And the only time I got up really was to go and fix me some food. And I had just minimal. I'd already started like preparing things and putting them in the freezer for myself, and just a meat and a little vegetable, just small amounts. I was talking like small amounts that I was fixing, because I was eating, my blood sugar was so dysregulated at the time. I knew that I needed to eat more often, so I was just eating small amounts of foods. But I was also drinking hot tea with those, which the tea, I thought that I was reacting to the tea, but it wasn't the tea. I found out later it was the heat from the tea. And so, yeah, I just decided the best place for me to stay was in bed. And the only thing that really got me out, I think, is when I discovered DNRS, the limbic system retraining. And once I found some hope with that, because a lot of it sounded like what my issues were. And I knew that I had nervous system dysregulation already. And so I started that. And I got a little bit more energy. I got out of the bed. I was able to seemingly handle stress a little bit better. Also, around this time, I'd already been seeing a naturopath, and she had already done some testing on me that confirmed that I had very low cortisol levels, which if you have low cortisol levels, you're just not able to manage stress. Low DHEA levels, which is the precursor, and that's what they usually measure that level with. And so I already knew that I was experiencing some adrenal fatigue. Like I said, my doctor had already upped my thyroid medication, and so I stopped taking my thyroid meds when I got into that state, because it was just too much for my adrenals, and I knew that I had to give them time to calm down. So at that point, I did start to do things to try to nourish my adrenals more. I already knew that salt water, like 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt in water, was good for nourishing your adrenals, but not just any salt. I used the good sea salt, like the Celtic, however you pronounce that, and with the good minerals, and I knew that was nourishing to my adrenals, and I didn't react to that. I had found out that I was low in vitamin C, and I was trying to increase that and start to take some adaptogens. I'd started the holy basil tea, which I thought that's what I was reacting to, but like I said, it was the heat, to try to help to support my adrenals, increasing my vitamin C intake. I was drinking because my hypoglycemia, the orange juice that I drank during that time, and that was one of the things, right? Your adrenal cocktails. But the problem with that is, didn't realize it at the time, but it was just feeding the mold, because the mold likes the sugar so much. But it helped me with my hypoglycemia, and at the time was key, so to get me out of that. So I just tried to relax and try to get myself into a better emotional state. I started following the things with the DNRS program. I was watching happy movies, and I was listening to happy music and watching the baby videos, and tried the happy yoga or getting outside if it was nice. Anything that I could try to increase my spirits, because they had totally been affected by the reactionary state and the adrenal fatigue that I was in. So the limbic system part really was very helpful, and just doing what I could to nourish. I did start some adrenal support as well, and I'll give you the links to what I started with that, but you have to be careful to make sure you're not reacting to those things. I started the ashwagandha, and I didn't react to that, so that was probably one of the first things that I did. So yeah, adrenal fatigue, man, that's what just brought me down. But it was that started me realizing that there was something was going on. So in the end, it sort of led me to where I am now. I have to look at it that way. So if you need any help, have any questions, or if there's anything that I can do for you, please let me know. I will put links to information about dealing with adrenal fatigue and more information in my description below. So please look at that. Bye.